Z-Speed back with another install video. In case you haven't figured it out, yes, it's time to do the Tomei exhaust. And in conjunction with the art pipes, that should sound pretty good. First, we need to do a little pre-prep in here. And I'm going to recommend 303 aerospace protectant, but you can use Armor All. And we're going to basically coat down all of the rubber hangers that we have. And I think there's like 4 or 5. I would not spray any type of oil products on these because it'll cause it to break down a lot quicker. And you want to preserve these hangers, keep them in good condition. You do need to use PB Blaster or WD-40 on these 2 bolts. That's mid-pipe to exhaust right there. And then there's a resonating pipe right there. And down here on the other end where the Y pipe connects to the resonator pipe, you need to really blast these down with some PB Blaster and let them soak for about 20-30 minutes. Hopefully they'll break free pretty easily. You can see there's quite a bit of rust on that hanger rod that goes into the rubber part right there, and that needs to be soaked down as well with the 303 or the Armor All. And you're going to basically just really manipulate that back and forth and get that 303 down in there. It'll make it a little bit easier to break loose. We also have a couple hangers holding up the muffler, and I'm going to show you that in a minute, but first I want to show you that there's ground wire right here that's hooked to the muffler and then to the frame. That needs to be disconnected. There's just 2 bolts, one to the frame and then one to the muffler. That's pretty easy to take care of. Shouldn't be any problem with that. Okay, so let's get started taking off, disconnecting the Y pipe to the resonator pipe. And right here you can see it's just 2 bolts, and that wasn't too hard to crack. Actually, the opposite side was actually loose. I don't know if it had been loose for a while or if it was from changing out the art pipes, but those 2 bolts came off pretty easily. What I'm not showing now is that I've actually put a jack underneath the Y pipe to give it some support, because I don't want the muffler pulling down on the Y pipe and the art pipes or in the whole and the headers. So I don't want any weight pulling down the Y pipe, art pipe headers, even though they've got a U-brace up there up front. We just don't want to put any stress on those, so it'd be a great idea to stack some wood, or if you have an extra jack, put a jack underneath the Y pipe and just bring it up high enough to where it's supported well, so it doesn't have to take any weight once you disconnect the mid pipe here. So right now I'm disconnecting. I've cracked one side. I'm going to crack the other side. And this one's a little bit hard to crack, but it's doable. Boom. Okay, so you go ahead and you've taken off one nut. We're taking this nut off, and just be careful when you're unbolting not to drop your ratchet like I'm about to do and hit yourself in the face. But I was lucky enough to duck it. Boom, I ducked it, so don't do that, whatever you do. And I got the other side coming loose. Not too hard at all. That comes out. And here is your ground wire loose. And I thought I was ready to take the muffler off. And at this point I realized there's a second nut holding this whole thing together. So we have to take the second nut off. So that comes loose pretty easily, actually. Pop that loose. Boom. Once you get that free, then we're ready to take the muffler off. So be careful, those 2 nuts right there. First thing we have to do is actually take this hanger off of the frame. There's 1 bolt holding this hanger onto the frame. We have to remove that first. That's the only one that actually has a bolt that we're going to have to remove. And it's pretty easy. Comes right off of that hanger right there. Comes right out. The more difficult part is one on both sides of the muffler. And this hanger has bi-directional. You can see there's one hanger facing towards the front of the car and then one facing towards the side of the car, and that has to be lubed up real well with some 303 or Armor All, because you're basically going to be manhandling the muffler and trying to slip it out of the hanger. And what I thought I was going to be able to do was to take the screwdriver here, this flathead, and pop it off by applying some force right there and popping it forward. That's not the case. It's going to be way easier to actually grab the muffler and slide it side to side, and that is the only way I can get off. Those hangers actually will stay up there on the frame, as you can see in a second. I've already removed it, but I'm going to tell you what I did. See, those hangers are still up there in the frame of the car, and what I was able to do is manhandle the muffler, and slide it side to side. And there's, you can see the other hanger we had to remove the bolts from. But I actually was able to get underneath it. You're going to take your knees, and you're going to need your knees to support this muffler. It's very heavy. And you're just basically going to go side to side, back and forth, wiggle it, pop one side loose, then pop the other side loose. It takes a bit of effort, but if I can do it, anybody can. So that's how that came out. Now we're going to do a bumper tuck, so we'll have a little more clearance for the Tomei, since the Tomei is quite large. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. Okay, what we want to do now is squeeze these tabs together to remove the bumper strap or tab from these clips that are hanging onto the frame. So squeeze these two tabs together, and just very gently, and it should come right off like that. It should look like this when we're done. And what I've done now is I spun those attachments all the way around, switched the screw from the lower part to the end, and screwed it into the tab that's closest to the edge of the bumper. And what I'm going to try to do is attach these two tabs back up onto those little arrow-headed type clips, and I'm actually going to use a zip tie, and they're slightly, you can see, to an angle, but that's okay. You can see I've got the tabs popped in. I actually put a little aluminum tape right here at this seam because it was a little weak where it attached to the bumper, so I just added aluminum tape to both sides. Hopefully that'll help the integrity. But anyway, you can see where I've run the zip tie through both the tab and the little attachment that goes to the bumper itself, and zipped them real tight. You can see I've done the same thing on this side, and they're both pointing to the right a little bit, but that's not going to be a big problem. You're not going to be able to see that. So what we're going to do now is come out and take a look and see if it's sufficient, and that looks really good. That is a pretty good looking bumper tuck right there. You can also just bolt it to the bottom of the frame if you want to do that way, or the frame of the bumper, with like 4 or 5 bolts. But I'm going to try this method and see if it'll work. We'll see how long it'll last. Okay, now I've decided to use some of this high heat caliper paint. It's silver, rated up to 900 degrees, and I wanted to spray down the rear end, and you don't want to spray your diff seal, so cover that, and I covered that little black brace right there. But it came out pretty nice. Just spray that because that's going to be very visible now that the old muffler is removed, and the Tomei does not take up near that much space, so this is going to be very easy to see the undercarriage, and this just adds to the aesthetics. So I'm happy with the way this turned out, and now we're ready to install the new muffler. Okay, so right here you can see I have a floor jack supporting my Y pipe. I told you I'd done that earlier, and that just keeps all the stress off of your Motordyne art pipes, your headers, and your Y pipe. So that supports it when you start to reattach the resonator pipe. And here is the resonator pipe. We're ready to attach that, and there is one thing I need to show you. But before that, there's your 2 bolts, or nuts, sorry, and there are some anti-seize and your gasket right there. But what you need to be careful of is that you install it correctly. There's an actual little label on it. It says up, and I was going to try to focus in on this for you. But there it is. It says up, and there's a little tiny arrow pointing straight up. That is to go up, for lack of better words, and it slides right up in there onto the Y pipe. So just be careful, pay close attention to that little up arrow, and make sure you connect that up right. That'll be if you're looking towards the face of the car, that'll be the left side, and the other side will be the right bolt. Okay, the 2 nuts that came with it work perfectly. That's the A pipe, or resonator pipe. It's A, B, and C. There's 3 pieces, but that fit on perfect. No problems at all. Very happy with the fitment, and it also comes with some pretty good directions. So pay close attention to the clamp position, or the stopper position. And let me get it to focus, but you can see right here that the correct stopper position is where this arrow is lined up with the clamp right there. That's the correct positioning. When you go to tighten it, it's easy for it to slip into this position, so be careful and play around with the clamp a little bit. Once you get ready to put it on, you'll see that it'll slide back and forth, and you want to get it in this position right here before you start to tighten it up, actually. Also, it's telling you to use the stock hangers, because if you use aftermarket hangers that are stiffer than stock, it could cause more vibration and cause damage to the Tomei welds. As you can see, there's a little picture of that weld snapping there, and that's the last thing you want. Okay, as you can see, I've used some Scotch tape to attach this rubber guard around the hanger that goes around the Tomei exhaust, just to keep it in place while I put it around. It's hard to do by yourself, so if you're by yourself, try this trick, and you should be able to slide it around the muffler without it coming apart. And we're ready to slip it around there right now. As you can see, I've already got the B pipe attached. Okay, you can see I've already attached the hanger to the car. It's going to be a little easier to slide the last piece of the exhaust in with the hanger already attached, like you see right there. Okay, so now we're ready to put that last piece in, and this is what it should look like once you get it installed. So let me show you right here. There it goes, boom! Slid that baby right in, and it's up there nice and tight. Those hangers are excellent. So this is the position I put my clamps in. I do not want those screws facing towards the bottom, because I don't want them scraping the ground. So as you can see, there's 2, we still have to put the springs on. There's the 2 clasps for the springs to go on. But that's the positioning I found was best for the clamp right there. And I'm going to show you the position of the other clamp down here. There we go. I got those screws up high. You can see I swung around up top, and that worked very well for me. I was able to tighten those up. Be very careful when you go to tighten. You want to over tighten and crush the titanium pipe. Those are very delicate, I'd say. But you obviously want them tight enough to where you get a good seal. So you may have to double check it a couple times, and there's the bolt up to the Y pipe. It came together really well. Okay, first start up. We'll see how she sounds. Go ahead and check for leaks.